God, guys. Oh my God. I cannot believe this. The showdown between The Rock and Roman Reigns has happened. Bayley has finally turned babyface after almost 5 years as a heel. What a SmackDown, guys. Oh my God. It's crazy. It's so crazy how one injury could change everything. CM Punk's injury was very unfortunate for him to tear his what is it, his rotator cuff, his part of his arm yet again, the same injury, one of the injuries he had in AEW. It seemed the plan was locked in for him and Seth at WrestleMania. And after that happened, seemed like now the backup is for Roman and The Rock. And, say what you want about it, but it's still a big match. The only unfortunate part is it's pretty predictable. We know Roman's going to come out on top. And it would have been nice to see this match happen with the belt not being on the line, but it definitely looks like this is going to happen. They've been trying to get this match going for quite some time now, and it looks like that CM Punk injury completely changed the dynamic of WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes comes out, addresses Roman Reigns, says he's going to try to take everything from him, but then he says, but not at WrestleMania. All of a sudden, he says he got some counsel from someone that Roman knows very well, and out comes The Rock. And, I think we all pretty much suspected. First, we thought maybe this match will happen at the Elimination Chamber, but then it was reported that Roman wouldn't even be wrestling at the Chamber this year like he did last year when they were in Montreal. And so it seemed as though when The Rock hinted at it the first Raw of the year back in January last month, that he wanted to eat at the head of the table. That was like the first tease, but now we got the actual stare now between The Rock and his cousin Roman Reigns. This is insane. I mean, you figured WWE was going to have a backup on their sleeve. Trips was going to have some backup. If he couldn't get, Cody to face Roman, you figured that this would happen. And especially now The Rock apparently is working with Endeavor. He's doing something with them at this particular point. You figured that this would happen at this point, which likely means that Cody's going after Seth Rollins for the World Championship on Raw. It definitely would have been nice to see Cody be the one to beat Roman, and maybe he may still be the one to beat Roman. Maybe there's a possibility that may still happen down the line. We don't really know, but this definitely is teasing 100% Roman and The Rock at WrestleMania 40. The 40th WrestleMania, really big WrestleMania, didn't even say not a single word. But this is the third time The Rock shows up, or no, this is the second time. Second time this year, because he showed up on Raw. That's first Raw of the year, and basically buried Jinder Mahal, but Jinder Mahal played his part well, and he shows up again that night unexpectedly, and just literally just stares down Roman. Roman has the mic in his hand, he doesn't say anything. Roman looks shocked when The Rock comes out, and they just stare each other down. But it definitely seems as though this is the route they're going, and it looks like Cody's going to face Seth Rollins. I mean, with the passionate promo Seth, hit on Raw. The fans were against it at first, but the more he kept going, calling it the Hollywood title, saying, do you want to face, somebody that's, a workhorse like him, to pick him and not, Roman Reigns, who works less. Of course, Roman gloated about the fact that even though he works less, he makes more than Seth. And, he was saying some things about Seth prior to Cody coming out. But Cody did say he disagreed with Seth calling that title the Hollywood title because, that was the same title his father at one point was close to him holding, but was stripped of it. So Cody, it seemed as though he was gonna call Roman out, but then when he said, "But not at WrestleMania," you figured this would happen. You figured that ultimately this was going to lead to a much bigger stage, and that's exactly what seems to be going down. The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It doesn't get any bigger than that. Like I said, it's unfortunate because if Punk didn't get injured, I mean, I wonder if Punk didn't get injured, would they have still done Cody versus Roman? It's very interesting because it was reported that Roman was not going to be wrestling at the Chamber. So perhaps even if CM Punk didn't get injured, perhaps they still would have done Roman versus The Rock, and maybe Cody just would have been the third wheel or something. I don't know how that would have played out. Cody would have still faced Roman, but at the very start of this year, the first Raw of this year, The Rock had already teased it, so that kind of gave it away there. That Cody, you didn't really know where he was going, but I think in addition to CM Punk getting hurt, they just decided, okay, well, clearly, we got to get Seth somehow defending his belt, but we also got to get Roman, and so this is going to be Plan B because we've already been teasing. We already teased this earlier in the month, and now that Punk is injured, we're at the beginning of February. Let's just run with it. Let's just do it. So it definitely looks like that's the way they're gonna go, and man, like I said, the only part about this that kind of sucks is that we all know Roman's winning. I mean, that's the only part, and Rock doesn't really need it, but so it's very interesting. Or you start to wonder maybe Cody challenges Roman after Rock. It's very interesting how this is going to go. I do know that after WrestleMania, Roman's going to pass Hulk Hogan's record, so maybe that's also the reason they're doing it. But, I mean, like I said, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Epic stare now. I mean, the crowd was chanting, "This is awesome." I was going to come on here and specifically talk about the segment with Bayley, because that up to that point, that was like the highlight for me of the night. Bayley coming out and turning babyface. It looked like she was gonna challenge Rhea. Well, she called Rhea out, but then she said, she spoke in Japanese, and Io was just kind of looking at her all confused, and she was like, "Yeah, I know you guys are done laughing," because she saw, Asuka and Io and Kairi Sane laughing behind her back, and she said, "You guys have been talking about me this whole time." I liked the way they played it off. It was basically like Evolution when Batista turned babyface, when Trips was talking about him, behind his back with Ric Flair, that he plotted the whole, thing with the car trying to go after him and stuff, making it look like it was JBL when he really paid for that to happen. And, Batista was listening the whole time. And so it was similar with Bayley. She was saying this whole time she had been hearing, what they were saying, been listening to them, talk about it this whole time, asking Io, like, what happened? Like, once the, Kyrie and Asuka joined the mix, like, you basically changed. Because, really, once Kyrie came back to WWE at Crown Jewel, when Bayley didn't even know that Io had her up her sleeve to save her. That's when you knew that the end was slowly near for Bayley as the leader of Damage Control, and really the Damage Control as a whole. You kind of knew at that point that was slowly the turn, because Bayley had no idea what was going on. And this was how Io retained against Bianca at Crown Jewel. Next thing you know, on SmackDown, like the following SmackDown, Asuka looked like she's going to go after them, and then they all side together. because Asuka, keep in mind, had several run-ins with Io Sky throughout the initial run of Damage Control. They even had a match against each other. I want to say it was around July of last year or so. No, it wasn't July. I think it was like September, October, because Io was champ. She defended her belt against Asuka and retained against Asuka. It was a really good match on SmackDown. An excellent match. I want to say it was in September, October when they had that match. And then all of a sudden they get together. Their group. I know they had a thing going in Japan before, but they get back together, and the seeds was planted for this to happen. I'm very curious to see if Dakota Kai, whose side she's going to be on, because it also seemed like she was planning this as well for this turn to happen on Bayley, because just when she was asking Io what happened, Asuka and Kairi attacked her, and then she had like a pipe or something that she kind of put under her sleeve and hit him with it. And she looked like she was going to hit Io, and Io kind of stood by, and then she said, I'm going to pick you at WrestleMania. And I felt like this is exactly what I said when she won the Rumble. I'm like, this is what it's going to lead into, because, clearly they've been teasing, this turn to happen for quite some time. The fans have been chanting Bayley for quite some time as well. And, she's had an amazing transformation from the hugger gimmick to the gimmick that she's been doing, since 2019. And like she said, she pretty much had done it all. Won a Raw Women's title, the SmackDown Women's title. Actually held the SmackDown Women's title for a very long time. After she initially won it the second time, beating Charlotte in 2019, which was the classic episode of SmackDown when she destroyed the Bayley bubbles. And so, yeah, it definitely, want to say it was like October the 12th or so, but, to see that transformation she's had to get this far, win hold the title on. She did win a women's tag belts with Sasha Banks during her initial run. The feud they had with each other. Even after that, she's definitely come a long way. But this group, you kind of want to see them all hold the belts, but you knew, once Io and Asuka joined the mix, the writing was on the Raw for the turn to happen. And so I thought this was well executed. And this is initially what I was going to come on here and talk about initially. And I still wanted to, touch on it. The matches were pretty decent as well. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne won the Fatal 4-Way. I think they're going to go to the Chamber against Judgment Day, depending on what team's on Raw. I could actually see them facing them, especially with them being in Australia. And Austin Theory had a good match with Kevin Owens. So it was a solid SmackDown Raw, but I just wanted to talk about these two segments because they both were well anticipated, especially the Bayley one. I think we suspected that was going to happen, but now it looks like Roman's going to face Rock at WrestleMania, and however you think about it, it's still a big deal. I think it's just the more predictability, I think, that kind of draws people away, but, had to go with a plan B, and it looks like that's what they're going to do. So, man, what a SmackDown coming out of the Royal Rumble. Got two signings. Tiffany Stratton had a pretty decent match with Meacham. She's on SmackDown. Naomi's back, signed with SmackDown. Braun Breaker may or may not sign with SmackDown. So it's looking pretty good. So that's pretty much you guys. Sign Ravens Flex. Comment, subscribe, and tell you guys know if he's